I have two cards here. One is a credit card and one is a debit card. I actually have a Disney card. From looking at them, they don't look super different. And actually, like when you go to pay, you use them pretty much the same way. Like I used to be super confused why when you go to check out and you want to pay with your debit card, you still select credit. I still am confused by that. Anyway, the whole thing is pretty confusing, and especially if you are the kind of person who has been using debit cards forever and you're thinking about getting a credit card, the question that I wanted to answer in this video is, does it make a difference whether you use debit or credit? The answer is absolutely 100% yes. In this video, I'm gonna explain why, and I'm gonna help you guys figure out when does it make sense to use credit card versus debit card. Hey guys, Jessica here. Before jumping into it, really quick call out that we're Uprise. We put together personalized Wall Street level financial plans completely free. And this is a lot of what we help people with, which is, are you getting the most out of your cards? Which cards should you be getting to maximize your rewards or your credit or whatever it is? So to get your personalized plan, definitely check us out. I've linked to us in the description below. Also, if you get value out of this video, please tell us what helped you the most in the comments. Also give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. It really helps small channels like ours. Getting back to it, credit cards versus debit cards. So the way I'm going to structure this video is I'm going to talk first really quickly about the differences between credit cards and debit cards. Like we just talked a lot about how they're the same, but how are they different? How do they work differently? And then jumping into the pros and cons, specifically 4 areas. The first one is safeguards, aka covering your am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Anyway, the second thing is building credit. The third thing is rewards. And the fourth thing is avoiding debt. Okay, so as I mentioned before, there are a lot of similarities between how credit cards and debit cards work, but the main difference between the two is when you pay, specifically like when that money comes out of your checking account. When you use your debit card to pay for something, the money comes out of your checking account right away. It's almost like cash in the sense that like the balance in your checking account has just gone down by that amount that you spent. A credit card allows you to buy something now and then pay for it later. So by the due date, which is usually a few weeks up to a month out. The card has a credit limit, which is the amount of money you're allowed to spend on the card, and then you pay off the balance once a month before the due date. There are huge penalties and fees if you miss the due date or if you don't pay off the full balance. I know that sounds awful, but if you manage your finances well, meaning you are able to pay off your credit cards in full on time every single month, then actually credit cards have huge benefits, which leads me to what are the pros and cons between credit cards and debit cards. So the first category is safeguards, meaning like what protections does the card give you if you lose the card, it gets stolen, the number gets stolen, stuff like that. So credit cards are much better than debit cards in this area. For pretty much all of the top credit cards, you wouldn't have to pay a single cent for any charge that is deemed to be fraudulent. So debit cards are much less on your side on this front. So if your debit card gets lost or stolen, you have to report it within 2 days. And even then, even if you report it within 2 days, you'd still be on the hook for $50 of fraudulent charges. If you like, for example, didn't even notice that it was lost, and then you wait until after 2 days, then you'd potentially be on the hook for up to $500 of charges. And on top of all of this, the process of disputing debit card charges that are fraudulent is just not super straightforward and pain in the ass. I learned this lesson the hard way. So a long time ago, when I was in college, my mom and I took a vacation in London. And I remember this so clearly. We were in Leicester Square. It was super crowded. And all of a sudden, my mom goes, my wallet is missing. Like her purse felt lighter. And basically, somebody had stolen her wallet. And the most stupid thing, like, please don't ever do what my mom did. Basically, right before we went to London, she had opened a new checking account. And because it was a new checking account, she had a new debit card and a new PIN number. And she had written down that new PIN number on a small slip of paper and like put it right next to her debit card in the wallet. Don't ever do that. But basically, like all of the money was gone. And because we were in London, on top of that, we couldn't quickly report that it was gone because our phones weren't working, all of this kind of stuff. Long story short, she lost all of the money in her checking account. It was about like $500 some. Whereas with her credit cards, she didn't lose a single cent. With a credit card, what you do is like if your card gets lost or stolen, you can go into your account and then if you see any fraudulent charges, just dispute those charges. You never have to be out any money. It's so straightforward to do from the credit card's website. By the way, a really quick call out for 2 quick categories that are pretty high risk and where you want to try to use a credit card. So the first one is online shopping. So you've probably heard that there's a ton of like hackers these days who like hack into a website, steal credit card information, that kind of stuff. So you want to be protected in this one. And then the second one is gas stations. Basically the payment machines at gas pumps are pretty old school, which makes it really easy for like thieves to put a card skimmer on the gas station and then steal your number when you swipe. And so that's another area where you want to use a credit card. Okay, so that's security. The second topic is building credit. We did a separate video about building credit, which you can check out up here. But the point of that is like having a good credit score is so important, not just in terms of having good credit cards, but also in so many different aspects of your life. So things like getting a lease, renting an apartment, being able to qualify for a phone plan, stuff like that, things that you didn't even imagine was related to having good credit. A lot of these places also check your credit score. And the easiest, most straightforward way to build credit is to get a credit card and then manage it well. These days, having a credit card isn't the only way to build credit. So there are some alternate credit reporting solutions that might take into account your checking account balance or your bill payment history. There are also some debit cards out there that build credit, but none of these solutions are perfect. Some of them have fees. Some of them aren't comprehensive. Some of them, just don't give you as good rewards as credit cards. All this to say, having a credit card that reports your history to all 3 credit bureaus, that's still the best way to go about it. Okay, the next topic is rewards. And this is also another very clear win for credit cards. Some debit cards might have like small cashback programs or discounts, but all of them are not even in the same league as the kind of rewards that you get from credit cards in terms of points, miles, cashback, etc. One thing to call out, by the way, is that some credit cards might have fees, whereas debit cards generally don't have fees. That's not to say that credit cards don't win on the rewards category. You just have to, before getting a credit card, you need to do the math to make sure that your spending matches up with their rewards and this kind of stuff to make that card worth it. If you're thinking about a new credit card, by the way, this is something that Uprise looks at. So definitely check us out below. We can help you figure out what is the exact right credit card for your spend. Okay, the last point is about avoiding debt. And this is probably the most important one and the one that trumps all of the previous points that I was just talking about. This is the biggest con for credit cards because even if you just miss one payment one time or don't pay off the full balance one time, they will immediately hit you with huge penalties right away. I know that sounds super scary, but I think the coolest thing is that it doesn't have to be super hard. So my system for this is I put all of my credit cards on auto pay straight from my checking account. And then I only just need to check my checking account to make sure that there's always enough money in there before the money comes out. And then I track all of this probably once a week in a Google spreadsheet. If you're concerned about making a mistake with a credit card, which I think is totally fair, I recommend starting small. So get a free secured credit card with a low limit. Put $20 a month on there. And what you're doing is you're getting familiar with their system, with your system of managing your finances. And even on these very small dollar values, you're already building credit. And that's it. I recently saw an article that said basically younger people, Gen Z, millennials are more likely to use a debit card than any other kind of payment method. And so I really hope that this video helps people get more comfortable with using credit cards because there are a lot of pros to using credit cards. If you have any other questions about debit cards versus credit cards, let us know in the comments below. Also, if you'd like more support with personal finance, make sure to sign up for Uprise. We put together personalized Wall Street level financial plans completely and 100% for free. So if you have any questions about which card to use, but also other things like budgeting or employer benefits, whatever it is, we'd be happy to help. And on average, we put $1.5 million in net worth back into people's pockets. Other than that, if you got value out of this video, please give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and click the bell for notifications. I'll see you guys next time.